Materialists, a romance for the modern era. This film surprised me. I'm a sucker for a love story, and the way the movie depicted modern dating and its challenges was very endearing and sincere. I appreciated how it didn't depict men or women as the sole exclusive problem, but rather was pretty even-handed to both sexes. This is the first Dakota Johnson film I've seen, and I think she did a solid job. Her character as a matchmaker was so interesting. She was cold, cynical, calculating, and quite corporatized when it came to her opinions on dating, especially when it comes to how her career influences her love life. I liked how the movie didn't paint her character as one to be pitied, nor as an aspirational protagonist.
You know how to do the math, don't you? You are what we call a unicorn. An impossible fantasy. How much is this apartment?
12 million.
It would be reductionistic to call Lucy shallow, because there were a lot more complexities and layers embedded into her character that I really appreciated. You could totally understand why her character values the safety and security a wealthy partner brings. And it was compelling and moving to see Lucy acknowledge this characteristic about herself. It was a bit of a jump for me to believe the low point and change of heart Lucy's character experiences. You'd think she would have dealt with at least a handful of problematic clients in light of how successful a matchmaker she is. And if not that, with how corporatized her employer is, having the scale to have matchmaking branches in multiple cities, they definitely would have some kind of training on what happens if your client experiences an adverse outcome on a date, like sexual assault. Being from the corporate world, I was just a bit puzzled by this. But this gripe wasn't enough to sour my experience of the film overall. It was clear the movie was using this unfortunate event as a plot device for her character's worldview to be challenged. I didn't mind going along with it despite it not being entirely believable. The movie overall is pretty standard romance love triangle storytelling. I wouldn't call it a rom-com because there weren't many, if any, comedic elements. But the depth of the characters involved is what impressed me most about the film. Pedro Pascal is seemingly everywhere nowadays, and though they don't do all that much with his character, the times that do focus on him were good. The insecurities and realities he faces are very real and relatable, and Pedro does a solid job at showcasing that with his acting ability. Speaking of acting ability, the struggling actor depicted by Chris Evans is a bit of a tired trope and stereotype for these kinds of movies. But I still liked his performance and the role his character played for the story. It was easy for the audience to understand where his character was coming from. The third act really does a lot for him, and the inevitable confession of love to Lucy, it made my Grinch heart grow a size or two.
When I see your face, I see wrinkles and children that look like you. So where does that leave us?
Materialists is a very predictable story, but it's a true and authentic one. The movie is pretty ironically titled with how superficial dating is now. Again, the movie does an exceptional job at depicting this. Certain characteristics about men and women can improve or weaken their mate value. The perceptions of oneself and the one they aspire to be with can be very skewed and oftentimes unrealistic. And the movie goes far enough with these ideas to spark interesting conversation. It would have been more interesting if the movie brought up the 80-20 rule, but this concept isn't necessary to convey the central ideas of the plot. It was a bittersweet experience to see the dating challenges I deal with day to day told on the silver screen. Like, man, I don't need a reminder of how hard it is out there. But maybe I did need a reminder that real love finds a way.
It's very good.
The only downside of this movie for me was its pacing. There were parts where it seemed like the movie was about to end, and then it kept going. And then it was coming in for a landing again, but then it kept going. It was jarring, especially because the earlier parts of the film had a smoother execution. But I still enjoyed the overall turnout of the events in the story. And that's the gist for my thoughts on Materialists. This was a very endearing, touching, and heartfelt romance that did a great job at depicting the challenges of dating in our modern time. If you're at all interested, catch this one on streaming. If you got some thoughts on Materialists, let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time on The Gist.